beautiful souls. This is Rochelle with the Healing Rose, and today we are looking at the Guardian of the Night Tarot by MJ Cullinane. This is 78 cards. There is a guidebook. It is published by Hay House. I have had this for a little while. So this is the mass market edition. There is an absolutely stunning indie edition out, which I missed out on. By the time I found out about it, it was already gone. So that's a bit of a bummer. She has a really lovely book that goes with it. So we have the intro, preparing using your deck. There's the card spreads, the yes cards, the no cards. If you're just doing a yes/no draw, which cards are in the yes list and which ones are in the no list and which ones are maybe. I kind of actually like that that's included because that's a little bit more challenging to find something that kind of gives you a definitive, clear look at that, right? Our 4-card spread, and then questions from the major arcana. So what question does the sun ask? Will you allow yourself time to bask in the sun to recharge your spirit? What question does the magician ask? What is your magic power? How are you using it? So just got kind of an interesting little take on things. We have the card, the meaning about the card, talks about it, and then talks about the animal that is in each card. So it's a nice little guidebook that comes along with it. Sometimes, I think a lot of people look at the guidebook and they think like, oh, what am I going to do with that guidebook? I already know tarot, so do I need to look at the guidebook? There's always good information. Somebody spent a lot of time in research, figuring out what it is that they want to tell you and talk about their deck. So it's nice to at least give it a look. So here's our backs, which are gorgeous, somewhat reversible, because of course that moon is going to look different whichever way it goes. It is that Hay House cardstock. It's got a nice finish to it, not super glossy. We have the Fool, which is beautiful. So I loved the concept of this deck. I will say that the one thing that has kind of stopped me from using it is the size. So this is one that I am planning to trim off the borders. If this was the indie version, I would never dream of it. But of course, we have this really beautiful kind of almost teal blue, really lovely, this sort of shade for the borders. And in this version, we just have like gray. The gray borders do nothing for me. I wish they had, just taken the border completely off, or gone for their narrower version of tarot that they do, because that would have been lovely. And of course, MJ's work is absolutely adorable. I do also have her, the Urban Crow Oracle, which is beautiful. And of course, this is very much the same sort of style, similar style. I feel like it's a slightly softer version of her artwork that she does in the Crow Tarot that is out by US Games. And they have a new pocket edition, which looks adorable, that I am absolutely wanting to add to my collection. So I think it's really beautiful. A lot of people... maybe I should finish one thought at a time, right? I feel like it's a really beautiful animal themed deck, and a lot of people are put off by some of the people that they see drawn in tarot, which I have to say, I can agree with that, because I'm not always a fan of everyone's art style. And I love the sense of softness that we have in this deck. It has a really beautiful quality to it. And I love that kind of like teal, the earth tones, that are being used. I'm absolutely not a fan of this kind of brown gray border. This is definitely going to be the deck that is next on my modification list. All right. And in this weather we still have, my hands are so dry, I do have a hard time flipping these cards individually. I love this for the Three of Cups. Like these crazy raccoons out there having some kind of like a crazy party. Just looks fabulous. I love how happy and playful these elephants are. You know, the hair is wonderful to look at. They have a really interesting quality, you know, the animals that she's put in here, which I quite like. I love this capybara. He's adorable. And the knight, a swan for the knight. We have our queen and king, which I kind of like how that's been done, that, you know, we have that sort of pairing, even though it's like, you know, for the suit, they're not, we don't have the same animals through the entire court for each suit, but I do love when the king and queen are paired up to show us different aspects. All right, so these are a little slippy today. The Eight of Swords. I do like this Nine of Swords. It's very, it has such a different energy to it. So we have our page, we have our knight, and then we have our queen and king, which is quite interesting. Quite interesting, the use of owls throughout this deck. Okay, our 2 and the 3. I find this to be like a really interesting, like what's going on here with the fox and the rabbits. And so visually, you know, it is quite an interesting, kind of a very angular style of artwork. It reminds me of something from when I was younger. There was a time period where there was a lot of different animation that was done with this almost kind of like cut out trees. And I really like that quality that she has brought into her artwork. I love this as a Page of Pentacles, that really beautiful octopus with that really lovely deep orange red. I love our little donkey. And then I really appreciate the cows. Oh, love those cows. All right, so let's give this a shuffle and we'll draw a card out and we'll take a look. So because it is such a chunky deck, I find if I'm going to shuffle them together, I need to break it up. Or what I do is I will take it into 3 piles, and then I will take each pile and shuffle the piles together, and then, you know, take a chunk from here and then shuffle those ones together, because it's just, that's the unfortunate thing with their choice of cardstock. Although it's very sturdy and you can really beat these decks up because it's such a solid cardstock. When we look at, you know, other manufacturers' cardstock, we get a deck that's manageable, which this size is great for Oracle. If you're only dealing with like 40 cards, it's like that big. It's easy to manage. When we're dealing with 78 cards, it's like a lot to shuffle. It's a lot to get them, you know, well mixed and handle them when there's this many of them, and we have this slightly heavier weight cardstock. It's just so much more substantial. All right, so let's choose a card. The Magician, beautiful. And let's take a look to see what MJ has to say about the Magician. Okay, when it came time to create the illustration for the energy of the Magician, the raccoon came forward very strongly, and I knew that this was the creature who embodies the traits of the Magician. The raccoon moves through the night swiftly and often undetected, but passive animals they are not. Raccoons are resourceful hunters who understand how to use their resources to the fullest. Whether it is climbing a tree for an egg in a nest or unlatching a neighbor's chicken coop, they will act with passion and determination to get what they desire. The Magician energy is one that requires action. It requires work. Like casting a spell, preparation and commitment are required. When the Magician appears, you are asked to take control of the situation to make clear and conscious decisions that will open the door for the right opportunity that will, in turn, yield the results you desire. When you pull this card, take a moment to draw in its energy. I find its electricity travels through my hand and into my soul. It is in this moment of connection that you too will find a refreshed sense of enthusiasm, of passion, and as a result, you will feel as though you hold the power of the world in your hands. So the raccoon represents someone nimble, focused, clever, represents dexterity, determination, and passion. A really adorable little magician, I must say. All right, so I hope you have enjoyed this little peek at the Guardian of the Night Tarot. I know it's been out for a while, but since I don't already have a full flip through, I thought I might as well add it to the library. So if you're still watching, thank you so much for being here. Always a pleasure to know that someone else is enjoying this. If you've enjoyed it, please hit that thumbs up. If you feel called to, I would love if you would subscribe. And just a note to let you know that any and all private readings with me are only booked through my website. You will find the link in the About section. You will also find the link down below in the description box. So don't be fooled if someone is messaging you saying like, hey, show up, do this, and I'll send you a reading. It's never going to be me that is sending out those messages. I do not do that. So with that being said, please take care. Have an absolutely wonderful week, and thank you so much for watching.